Kathy Hawk brings him out. The 1 Fort Herod, owned by the Fountain Valley Farm of Danville, Kentucky, trained and driven by Dean Collins. Number 2 is Sand Flying Dragon, owned by Michael Wetter of Middletown, Ohio, trained and driven by Jack Daly. Number 3 is Kim You Believe Him, owned by the Free as a Bird Stable, incorporated at Coral Springs, Florida, trained by Lloyd Hawk with Dave Hawk. Number 4 is Bus Fair by Donna Ray Elza of Franklin, Ohio, trained and driven by Jeff Ace Nysonger. Number 5 is Really Shady by Rick Starr of Hilliard, Ohio, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr. with Sound of Downs leading driver Brett Miller. Number 6 is Truly Cam Star by Joseph Smith Sr. and James Smith of Ohio, trained and driven by Jim Daly. Number 7 is Billy Six Shooter by Billy and Opal Sizemore of Miamisburg, Ohio, trained and driven by Jeff Smith. Number 8, Hobie's Eagle by Rick and Tammy Brandon of Greenville, Ohio, trained by Craig Bowman with Bob Harper. From the outside of the 9 is Fred in Full Stride by Gregory and Luther and John Shattuck, both of the Buckeye State, trained by John Robinson with David Miller. And scoring from off the second tier, the 10, the Terrific Chow, owned and trained by John Nelson, parent of Lebanon, Ohio, Sandy Beatty in the sulky. They're all fan pacing and stepping out of there for the lead. There goes Kim You Believe Him. Driving up from the rail, there is Fort Herod. Up on the outside, Really Shading looks to be angled in, racing in third. Coming away, racing 4, that is Sand Flying Dragon. Angled in, racing in 5, that is Billy Six Shooter. From off the second tier in 6, that is the Terrific Chow. Dropping in, racing in 7th there, that is Fred in Full Stride. 8th there, that is Boss Fair, and the 2 trailers are Truly Cam Star and Albie's Eagle. Can see them all as they step by the opening quarter in 26 and 4 fifths as they move in front of the stand for the first time and head on down to the half, and Really Shady up to the front end tier is now taking the lead as they roll under the wire with 5/8 of a mile remaining. Really Shady on top right there. Kim You Believe Him is in the garden spot, nose to helmet, racing in 2. Along the inside, Fort Heritage racing in 3rd. First over the outside in 4, that is Sand Flying Dragon, who is towing along Billy Six Shooter. Second over the outside in 5, buried at the rail in 6, the Terrific Chow. As they reach the half, they're halfway home in 56 seconds flat. Off the turn and driving down the backside. Heads are pointed towards 3/4, and Really Shady leads the way here by length and a quarter. Right there, still nose to helmet in 2, that is Kim You Believe Him. Grinding it out first over the outside in 3rd. Sand Flying Dragon inside in 4th, looking for racing room there. That is Fort Herod. Second over the outside in 5, Billy Six Shooter. 6th there is the Terrific Chow. Outer flow racing in 7th, Fred in Full Stride. Wheeling by 3/4 and 124 and 3 fifths. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. Really Shady, your 3 to 5 punter's choice, leads it here by a widening 2 lengths. Kim You Believe Him cannot go with him from 2 to the top of the stretch. Less than an 1/8 of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come. Really Shady is opening up and drawing away from this field as they come within the final 16th. Really Shady in front. Finishing second of the mile is going to be the 3, Kim You Believe It. It's going to be tight for 3rd. It's the 1, Fort Herod. Down of the mile, 1:53, 2 fifths, Really Shady. Try 46.80. Trackside of the winner's circle, the winner of the first race, timed in 1:53, 2 fifths. Number 5, Really Shady. A 5-year-old big outing by Towner's Big Guy out of a Shady Romance mare. She by Falcon Sealster, owned by Rick Starr of Hilliard, Ohio, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr. Nicely handled here this evening by winning driver Brett Miller. Being greeted in the winner's circle by Chrissy Fount, as she'll do throughout the evening. Number 5, Really Shady, 1:53, 2 fifths. Number 1 is Lots of Light, owned and trained by J. Tom Gray of Dayton, Ohio, with Brett Miller at the lines. Number 2 is Bad Eye Baker, owned by Denny Centers of Franklin, Ohio, and Howard Lewis of Carlisle, Ohio, trained by Jeff Brewer, Jason Brewer. Number 3 is Lavros Breeze, owned by John Shattuck of Columbus, Ohio, trained by John Robinson with Danny Noble. Number 4 is Valley Fortune, owned by Nancy Perry of Franklin, Ohio, and Tim Whittle of Cincinnati, Ohio, trained by David Perry with Jeff Ace Nysonger. Number 5 is This Old Art of Mine by Reed Racing of the big city of Newark, Ohio, trained by Dean Collins with David Miller. Number 6 is Mr. McGregor. Budweiser Best Bet of the Night is owned by Winchester Bakers Incorporated of Palo How, trained by Daryl Hoosier with a K-Man, Kane Kaufman. Into the outside of the 7, Miami Jewel. Ode trained by William Pugh of Groveport, Ohio. Kyle Wader in the sulky. 7 swings into the back stretch, getting set for a start. This field is in motion. They're all fan pacing and stepping out of there from the inside. There goes Bad Eye Baker, who's on the go, driving up from the outside. There's Mr. McGregor. From the rail, there's Lots of Light coming away, racing in third. On the rail, racing in fourth, that is Lavro's Breeze. Away in five, that is Valley Fortune. Ducking in sixth, that is This Old Art of Mine. And seventh in trailing the field at the very early stages here, Miami Jewel. As they step around the first turn and over to the opening quarter, and Mr. McGregor and the K-Man is going to lead him through the initial quarter in 27 3/5. Along the inside, Bad Eye Baker has found the garden spot, racing in two. Lots of Light racing in third. Fourth, that is Lavro's Breeze. 5 Valley Fortune. The two trailers remain This Old Art of Mine and Miami Jewel as they roll into the wire for the first time. 5/8 of a mile remaining on top. Mr. McGregor is carving out the fractions here, leading it by length and 3/4 as they step around the clubhouse, turning on over to the half. Mr. McGregor, Bad Eye Baker is next in two. Along the inside, Lots of Light is racing in third. Fourth there, that is Lavro's Breeze as they trip the halfway mile beam in 57 4/5. A second panel of 30 1. Off the turn and driving down the backside. Heads are pointed towards 3/4 with Mr. McGregor having it his own way on top by length and a half. Less than 3/8 of a mile remaining. Along the inside, Bad Eye Baker is going along in two. First over the rim, racing in third, that is Lavro's Breeze. Buried at the rail, racing in fourth. Lots of Light perfectly placed. Second over the outside in 5, Valley Fortune. Third over the outside in 6, Miami Jewel. And 7th in trailing the field, This Old Art of Mine through 3/4 and 1, 27 1/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. And Mr. McGregor with the lead here under a crack of the whip, but now over the outside. Lavro's Breeze is headed him and sticks ahead in front as they turn to the top of the stretch. Less than an eighth of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come, driving through Power Alley, battling back on the inside. Mr. McGregor to the outside. Lavro's Breeze as they come to the wire. Mr. McGregor hits up to win it here, finishing second, Lavro's Breeze. Third was the 2, Bad Eye Baker, the top of the mile, 1:55 4/5. Mr. McGregor battling back to win it. 6-3 in a photo for show. 5 4/5. Here's the 6, Mr. McGregor, gate to wire. An H-roll big outing by Power Bunny out of a Netherton Princess mare, she by Plat de Jour. By Winchester Bakers Incorporated of Palo How, trained by Daryl Hoosier. Nicely handled here this evening by the winning driver, the K-Man, Kane Kaufman. Number 6, Mr. McGregor, 1:55 4/5. Early double combination of 5 and 6 returns $8 even. 6-3 exacta, 24.20. 6-3-2 try, $71 even. Number 1 is Buckeye Hanover by Wolverine Stable of Lancaster, Ohio, trained by Jim Artledge Jr. with Dallas Miller. Number 2 is Deceiver Hall, owned by Charles Autry of Cincinnati, Ohio, trained by David Perry with Jason Brewer. The 3 is Mystical Kim by Reed Racing of Newark, Ohio, trained by Dean Collins with David Miller. Number 4 is 4-Star Sharp Fella, owned by Douglas Neely of Barberton, Ohio, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr., Brett Miller. Number 5 is Cincy Maynard, owned by Tom Price of Cincinnati, Ohio, trained and driven by Jack Daly. Number 6 is Epps, and with the Richard Shively Estate of Hamilton, Ohio, trained by Jim Artledge with Bob Harper. Number 7 is Mark from Eden, by the Winchester Bakers Incorporated of Palo How, trained by Daryl Hoosier with the K-Man, Kane Kaufman. Number 8 is Sam Storm, owned by Sam Noble Jr. of Cedarville, Ohio, trained by Sam Chip Noble III with Dan Noble. From the outside of the 9 is Falcon X, owned by Jerry Zozo of Columbus, Ohio, and Kathy Ratcliffe of Orient, Ohio, trained and driven by Jim Daly. And scoring from off the second tier is number 10, Easy Goin' Guy, owned by Ronald Boston and Sue Ann Mellick of Ohio, trained by Ron Boston. Dave Hawk in the sulky. They're all fan pacing in a very nice start here and flashing some early speed. Middle of the track, there goes the 6. Epps is driving out for command. Also right alongside that is Mark from Eden from the inside. Mystical Cam comes away in third. Fourth, that is 4 Stars Fella. Away in 5 from off the rail, that is Buckeye Hanover. 6th from off the second tier, Easy Going Guy. 7th there along the inside, that is Deceiver Hall. 8th is Cincy Maynard. 9th is Sam Storm. And 10th in trailing the field, Falcon X can see them all as they race by the opening quarter in 26 and 4/5. They'll pass in front of the fans for the first time and head on down to the half with Epps and Bob Harper showing the way here by length and a quarter. Right there, nose to helmet, racing in 2, that is Mark from Eden. Closing the gap, racing in 3rd, that is Mystical Cam. 4th on the inside, 4 Stars Fella. A gap at 2 and 5, that is Buckeye Hanover. First over the outside in 6, that is Easy Going Guy. As they step around the clubhouse, turn in front of the paddock and on over to the half. They reach the half, they're halfway home in 56 seconds flat. Off the turn and driving down the backside, and Epps with the lead here. Mystical Cam is now mounting his assault to the outside, racing in 2. Along the inside, racing in 3rd, that is Mark from Eden, perfectly placed. 2nd over the outside, racing in 4th, that is 4 Stars Fella. 3rd over the outside, racing in 5, Easy Going Guy. 6th on the outside there, that is Deceiver Hall. 7th along the rail, Buckeye Hanover, as they race towards the 3/4 mile mark of the race. 3/4 on the board and 125 flat. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. Epps to the inside, but to the outside, Mystical Cam now forges to the front and ready to be swung up 3 high. Here comes 4 Stars Fella making that move on the outside. Easy Going Guy to the top of Power Alley. Less than an eighth of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come with the lead here. 4 Stars Fella is going right on by here. The Easy Going Guy is trying to come on with Deceiver Hall as they come to the wire. 4 Stars Fella. Very close for second there between the 2 Deceiver Hall and the 10 Easy Going Guy. Down the mile, 153, 4/5 for 4 Stars Fella. Reporting home in 153, 4/5. A 6-year-old bay outing by Cam Fella. Out of a complex morning mare, she by No Nukes. Owned by Douglas Neely of Barberton, Ohio. Trained by Virgil Morgan Jr. Nicely handled here this evening by winning driver Brett Miller. 4 Stars Fella in 153 and 4 is now your official winner. For trainer Virgil Morgan Jr. and driver Brett Miller, that's 2 wins on this evening's card already. The 410 Exacta returns $94.80. 410 2 Try returns $830 even. The horses are leaving the paddock for this evening's 4th race. 3-year-old Open Pace, a 1 mile purse of $10,000. A field of 6, no changes. Exacta trifecta early pick 3 wagering begins here. Number 1, Talk Forever by Crouch, Breckler, Campbell, and Mogan. They're all of the Buckeye State, trained by Scott Mogan with Dave Hawk. Number 2 is Eddie Rocket, owned by Sam Noble Jr. of Cedarville, Ohio, trained by Sam Chip Noble III with Danny Noble. Number 3 is Stinky Flynn, owned by James Cargo of Moore, Ohio, trained and driven by Jack Daly. Number 4 is Rake Into the Box, owned by Gary Adams of Circleville, Ohio, trained by Jerry Kuchbach with a K-Man, Kane Kaufman. Number 5 is Art Peace by Darby's Edge Stable of Ohio, Joe Descala Jr. of New York, and Ray Hall of New Jersey, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr., Brett Miller. And for the outside of the 6, Forever in My Dreams, owned by Thomas and Roger Miller of Archbold, Ohio, trained by Mike Roth, Bob Harper, and the Sulky. The 4th race, 3-year-old Open Pace. A field of 6. A nice field of 6, swings to the back stretch. We're getting set for a start to kick off the early pick 3 from Ohio's showplace of racing, Sound of Downs. Field in motion. They're all fan pacing and firing away from the outside. There goes Art Peace. He'll get the first call from the inside. Talk Forever comes away racing in 2. Eddie Rocket is angled in along the pylons in 3rd. 4th, that is Stinky Flynn. Away in 5, that is Rake Into the Box. And 6th, then trailing the field, that is Forever in My Dreams. And he can see them all as they step around the first turn and over to the opening quarter. On top of the field, that is Art Peace and Brett Miller leading it here by a length and a quarter. Into the inside, Talk Forever is right there in the garden spot, racing in 2. The initial quarter in 28 2/5 as they pass in front of the stand for the first time and head on down to the half. And Art Peace is on the front end here, leading it by a length and a half. To the inside, Talk Forever is going along into in that garden spot. Eddie Rocket is racing in third. Fourth, that is Stinky Flynn. 5 is raking in the box, and 6th then trailing the field Forever in My Dreams. Positions remain unchanged as they step around the clubhouse, turning on over to the half. On top of the field, leading the way, that is Art Peace. On the inside, Talk Forever is racing in second, and they let him get away with a half of 58 seconds flat. Mild for him, off the turn and driving down the backside, setting sail towards 3/4 and on top. Art Peace leads the way here by a length and a quarter. To the inside, Talk Forever is racing in second. Up on the outside, first over in third, that is raking in the box. Buried at the rail, racing in fourth. That is Eddie Rocket. Second over the outside in 5, Forever in My Dreams. And 6th then trailing the field, Stinky Flynn. As they near the 3/4 mile mark of the race, and Art Peace is the one to catch. 3/4 and 1:26 4/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. Art Peace and Brett Miller still sitting there chilly, leading it by a half. Rake into the box is still there, still coming to him. Fanned out 3 wide for the stretch. Drive Forever in My Dreams and Talk Forever to the passing lane. Less than an eighth of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come within the final 16th. Art Peace under a tippy tap of the whip is going to cruise coast to coast. Art Peace very close for second. May have been the one. Talk Forever. Over the 2, Eddie Rock at the top of the mile, 1:54, 1/5. Art Peace, 5 and a photo for place in race. The 3-year-old Open, timed in 1:54 and 1/5. Recording this victory, gate to wire. Your official winner, number 5, Art Peace. A 3-year-old bay colt by Perfect Art out of a timepiece Hanover mare. She by Albatross with a Darby's Edge stable of Ohio. Joe Descala Jr. of New York. And Ray Hall of New Jersey, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr. Nicely handled here this evening by winning driver Brett Miller. For trainer Virgil Morgan Jr. and driver Brett Miller, that's 3 on this evening's card, giving them a conditioning and driving triple. It's official. The 5-1 exacta returns $11.40. The 5-1-2 try returns $28.60. Presenting the field with the 1 House of Sam out sick. The 2 is Levi's Freeman, owned by Vicky Dentweiler and Robert Grover, the Buckeye State, trained by Robert Grover with Jason Brewer. Number 3 is All Special K's by Paver of Marysville, Ohio, and Paver of Raymond, Ohio, trained by Joe Paver with Jim Daly. Number 4 is Western Gambler by Thomas and Sarazen of Florida, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr. with Brett Miller. Number 5 is the Big Wazoo, owned and trained by John Nelson, parent of Lebanon, Ohio, with Dan Noble. Number 6, Dragon Magic, owned by Helen Rolston of Mendon, Ohio, trained and driven by Sam Albright. Number 7 is Lots of Guy by John Turgliato of Temperance, Michigan, trained by Travis Redden with drivers changed to Dave Hawk. Number 8, Western Genius with the FTF Incorporated at Johnstown, Ohio, trained by Ron Potter with Jeff Ace Nicehunger. From the outside of the 9 is Devil's Music, owned by Kathy Estes of Troy, Ohio, trained by David Bowden-Miller with David Miller. And scoring from off the second tier is the 10, Jack's Brother Joe. The lessee is Eldon Griffin of Dayton, Ohio, trained by Pat Landis with Chad Lees in the sulky. That's the field for the 5th race. Condition pace, exactas in try, scratch the 1 House of Sam. This field is in motion. Being sent on their way. They're all fan pacing and firing from the outside. There goes the 7, Lots of Guy, driving up in between horses. That is All Special K's. From the outside, Devil's Music is on the go. Coming away, racing in 4, that is Levi's Freeman. From off the second tier in 5, that is Jack's Brother Joe. 6th there along the inside, that is Western Gambler. 7th there, that is the Big Wazoo. Dropping in, racing in 8th, that is Western Genius. And 9th and trailing the field at Dragon Magic as they step towards the opening quarter in 26 4/5. Passing on by the stand for the first time and heading on down to the half. And Lots of Guy and Dave Hawk leads it uncontested by 2 1/4. To the outside of the grueling mile in 2, that is All Special K's. Levi's Freeman is watching over the dueling leaders from 3rd. 4th there along the inside, Jack's Brother Joe, tipped to the outside in 5 there. That is Devil's Music, underway to the outside in 6. That is Western Gambler as they step around the clubhouse, turning on over to the half. On top, Lots of Guy is carving out the fractions through a half. half and 56 and 1/5. Off the turn and driving down the backside. Heads are pointed towards 3/4 and on top of the field. Lots of Guy leads the way here, being swung up 3-1 to the outside. Here comes Devil's Music, and following that cover is Western Gambler. Levi's Freeman could not go on to the outside of there. All Specials KS is backing through the field. Buried at the rail, looking for racing room. That's Jack's brother Joe as they near the 3/4 mile mark of the race, and Lots of Guy has led it every step of the way. 3/4 and 125 and 1/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home, and Lots of Guy under a tippy tap of the whip from Hawk with the lead here, but now bearing down to the outside. Here's Western Gambler as they turn to the top of Power Alley. Less than an eighth of a mile to go, and down the stretch they come. Lots of Guy is digging down deep to the outside. Western Gambler, Devil's Music to the passing lane. Jack's brother Joe as they come to the rear. Four of them are going to hit the wire together. They're very close for a win. The time of the mile, 1:53, 3/5. Photo for win. The official winner of the 5th race, number 9, Devil's Music. A 3-year-old big outing by Park Place out of a Timmy's Brett mare. She by Brett Hanover, by Kathy Estes at Troy, Ohio, trained by David Bodenmiller. And a familiar face, no stranger to this winner's circle, the winning driver, David Miller. Time of the mile, 1:53, 3/5. Establishes a new lifetime mark for the 9, Devil's Music. And the nation's leading driver, David Miller. Well, the 5th race from Souda Downs, and a very entertaining race there. 4 of them across the line. A very talented field of 6 are stepping onto the track for this evening's 6th race, the Ramblin' Willie Invitational Handicap Pace of 1 mile, a purse of $15,000. Exactas and tries, the One Perfect Toast, owned by Hank and Sally Josephic of Washington Township, Ohio, trained and driven by Mark Evers. Number 2 is Pinnacle. The lessee is Dorothy Christie of Grove City, Ohio, trained by Mr. Todd Christie with Bob Harper at the lines. Number 3 is Noble Senator by Marianne Kaufman of New Albany, Ohio, trained by Danny Collins with Sandy Beatty. The 4 is Swingin' Glory, hidden from the Meadows, owned by Burke of Fredericktown, Pennsylvania, and Carr of Randolph, New Jersey, trained by Mickey Burke Sr. with David Miller. Number 5 is Blatchford, Presser and Pressers, all of the Buckeye State Super Gizmo, trained by Ron Potter, Dave Hawk. In for the outside of the 6, Brad's Gold, by the Darby's Edge stable, Joe Descala Jr. and Melodix of Ohio and New York, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr., Brett Miller, Ian the Sulky. That's the field for the 6th race, the Ramblin' Willie Invitational Handicap Pace. Exactas and tries, a field of 6. No changes. The Ramblin' Willie Invitational Handicap Pacers, a field of 6 from the rail out. Perfect Toast, Pinnacle, Noble Senator, Swinging Glory, Super Gizmo the outside. Brad's Gold, the gate swings into the back stretch, and there they go. Field in motion for the Ramblin' Willie Invitational Handicap. They're all fan pacing and stepping out of there for the lead. There goes the 4, Swingin' Glory. Up on the outside of there, that is Brad's Gold, who's driving out for command. Noble Senator comes away in 3rd. Caught to the outside in 4, that is Super Gizmo. Away in 5. From off the rail, that is Perfect Toast. And 6th in trailing the field here, that is Pinnacle and Bob Harper. Can see them all as they step around the first turn and over to the opening quarter. And now clearing to the front end here, Brad's Gold along the inside. Swingin' Glory yields for a garden spot, racing into the opening quarter in 27 seconds flat as they pass on by the fans for the first time and head on down to the half. And on top of the field, Brad's Gold leads the way here by a length and a half. And to the inside, Swingin' Glory yielded for a garden spot in 2. Noble Senator goes along in 3rd. Next is Perfect Toast, and the 2 trailers here are Pinnacle and Super Gizmo. Can see them all as they step around the clubhouse, turn in front of the paddock and on over to the half. On top, your 4 to 5 punter's choice. Brad's Gold takes them to the half in 56 and 1/5. Along the inside, inside, racing in two, that is Swingin' Glory. Up on the inside, racing third, Noble Senator. Fourth there on the inside, Perfect Toast. Off the turn and driving down the backside. Heads are pointed for 3/4, less than 3/8 of a mile remaining. On top of the field, Brad's Gold with the lead here to the inside. Swingin' Glory is still right there in two. On the inside, Noble Senator is third. First over the outside in fourth, Pinnacle. Buried at the rail in five, Perfect Toast. And sixth and trailing the field, Super Gizmo. They went 3/4 in 1:24 and 2/5. They'll pace the final turn of the Ramblin' Willie. On top of the field, Brad's Gold with the lead and now being angled to the outside. Swingin' Glory's going to take a shot at him as they turn to the top of the stretch. Less than an eighth of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come. Brad's Gold is under siege. Swingin' Glory to the outside is coming to him and coming on and goes right on by Swingin' Glory and Dave Miller in front. Finishing second, Brad's Gold. Third was the one, Perfect Toast. The top of the mile, 1:52, 1/5, Swingin' Glory. Here he is, trackside of the winner's circle, the unofficial winner of the sixth race, the Ramblin' Willie Invitational Handicap Pace. Here's the four, Swingin' Glory. In from the Meadows, a 9-year-old bay horse by Raging Glory. Out of a Swingin' Mare, she by Meadows Skipper. Owned by Burke of Fredericktown, Pennsylvania, and Carr of Randolph, New Jersey. Trained by Mickey Burke Sr. Nicely handled here this evening by winning driver David Miller. The four, Swingin' Glory, gives David Miller a driving double. It's official, 4-6-1-3 official. The 4-6 exacta returns $10.60. 4-6-1 try, $162.40. Swingin' Glory takes the Ramblin' Willie Invitational Handicap Pace in 1:52, 1/5. The pick three, 3 of 3, 594, 47.80. Here's the field, the one Positive Scooter, owned by Marvin Godown in Greenville, Ohio, trained and driven by the K-Man, Kane Kaufman. Number 2 is Crown Time Big Ben, owned by Esther Crownover of MacArthur, Ohio, trained by Earl Owings with Jason Brewer. Number 3 is Kioki Cam, owned by David Roop of Jonesville, Virginia, trained by Ted Roop with Jack Dilly. Scratch the 4, TC Moonbeam Sick. The 5 is Luby Bluegrass, owned by Sidney Watkins and Robert Gordon of Dalhart, Texas, trained by David Joder, Dan Noble. The 6, Norman Feeney, owned by Leslie Lane of Ostrander, Ohio, trained by Jim Pollock Jr. with Jim Daly at the lines. Number 7 is Bingo Baron, by Dino LaCastro of McMurray, Pennsylvania, and Miller of Cornopolis, Pennsylvania, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr. with driver Brent Miller. And to the outside of the 8 is Livestream Mindale, owned by Reed Racing of Newark, Ohio, trained by Dean Collins, David Miller, in the sulky. They're off and pacing and firing away for the lead. There goes Kioki Cam driving up from the outside. Bingo Baron is on the go. Positive Scooter has come away third. Up on the inside in 4. That is Crown Time Big Ben away in 5. That is Livestream Mendale. They're in 6th there as they race around the first turn. That is Norman Feeney. And 7th in trailing the field after the early miscue and back off stride is Luby Bluegrass. As they wheel around the first turn and over to the initial quarter. On top of the field, Kioki Cam is going to take them to the opening quarter in 27 3/5 and up and out of the hole. Here comes Bingo Baron, and Bingo Baron is looking to take over here, but Kioki Cam will have nothing of the sort and replaces Bingo Baron right back in the 2 hole. A gap of 4.5, racing in 3rd. That is Positive Scooter. 4th is Crown Time Big Ben. 5th there along the rail. Livestream Mindale move to the outside in 6th. That is Norman Feeney, and 7th in trailing the field, Luby Bluegrass. As they wheel towards the half and on top, Kioki Cam's going to take him to the half and a wicked 55 3/5. Off the turn and driving down the backside. A second panel at 28 seconds flat. Setting sail towards 3/4 and on top. Kioki Cam with the lead here. Being angled back back to the outside. That is Bingo Baron. Up on the outside in third, Crown Time Big Ben. Positive Scooter is racing in fourth. A swing to the outside in five, Livestream Mendale. Sixth is Norman Feeney. Seventh and trailing the field, Luby Bluegrass as they wheel towards three quarters on the board in 1:23 and 3/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. Bingo Baron, your even money punter's choice with the lead here. But now on the outside, Crown Time Big Ben has come into play and swung up 3 wide of the outside. Livestream Mendale to the top of Power Alley. Less than an eighth of them how to go. And down the stretch they come. Bingo Baron is being set down with a stretch drive on top by 2. It is going away here. Bingo Baron in front. Going to be very close for a second. Looks like the 8, Livestream Mendale over the 2, Crown Time Big Ben. Down the mile, 1:53 flat. Bingo Baron. Victory turns 26.80, 7.82 try, 2:32.60. Well, trackside of the winner's circle, the official winner of the 7th race, topping the teletimer here in 1:53 flat. Here's the 7, Bingo Baron. A 7-year-old brown gelding by Abercrombie out of a Tasha Hanover mare. She by Big Towner by Dino LaCastro of McMurray, Pennsylvania, and Miller of Cornopolis, Pennsylvania. Trained by Virgil Morgan Jr. Nicely handled here this evening by winning driver Brett Miller. And for Virgil Morgan Jr. and Team Miller, Brett Miller, that's 4 wins on this evening's card. The 7, Bingo Baron, 1:53 flat. The 1, Bikini Kinda Guy, owned by Parker of Canal, Winchester, Ohio, and Berger of Columbus, Ohio, trained by Doug Parker, Dean Collins. Number 2 is Instigator, owned by James Petticelli of Hallidan, New Jersey, trained by Dan Ader, Kyle Ader at the lines. Number 3, Tizzo, owned by Catherine Hawk of Orient, Ohio, trained by Lloyd Hawk, Dave Hawk. Number 4 is Say Excuse Me, owned by Gary Machez at Clarksburg, New Jersey, trained by Brian Brown, Brett Miller. Number 5 is Magic Sparrow, owned by Alman of MacArthur, Ohio, and Kirk of New Holland, Ohio, trained by Ken Kirk with Jim Daly. Number 6 is Burton Bobby, by Pauline Bryant and Donald Cockerell of Ohio, trained by Don Cockerell with Jack Daly. Number 7 is Galileo's Light, owned by Paris Bradley and Louis Swain of Xenia, Ohio, trained by Mike Lee with Dan Noble. Number 8, Best Cam Dragon, owned by Dennis Hertz at Columbus, Ohio, trained by Calvin Holler. The K-Man, Kane Kaufman, is up. For the outside of the 9 is Oz Shade, owned by Bryden Baugh, Diamond Chip Stables, and Mogan. They're all of the Buckeye State, trained by Scott Mogan, David Miller. And scoring from off the second tier is the 10, Smart Sam, by Mondillo of Delaware, Ohio, and Robinson of Cardington, Ohio, trained by Delvin Criswell, Bob Harper, Ian the Sulky. Field in motion. They're off fan pacing and stepping out of there from the middle of the track. There goes the 4, Say Excuse Me. Driving up from the inside. Instigator on the way outside of there. That is Aw Shade. Coming away, racing in fourth. That is Tizzo. Along the inside in 5 is Bikini Kinda Guy. Looking to be angled in, racing in 6. That is Best Cam Dragon. From off the second tier in 7th. That is Smart Sam. 8th along the inside. Magic Sparrow. The 2 trailers here are Bert and Bobby. And Galileo's Light and Dan Noble can see them all as they wheel by the opening quarter in 27 4/5. On past the stand for the first time and heading on down to the half. And David Miller has placed Aw Shade on the front interior by length and a quarter. To the inside, Say Excuse Me is in the garden spot, racing in 2. Instigator is going along in 3rd. Tizzo stays in from 4th. The overland route to the outside in 5. Best Cam Dragon, who is towing along Smart Sam, second over the outside in 6. Buried to the rail, racing in 7th. That is Bikini Kinda Guy. To the outer flow, racing in 8th. There as they step around the clubhouse turn. That is Magic Sparrow, and the 2 trailers remain here, Bert and Bobby and Galileo's Light. They went the half in 57 4/5. A well-rated second panel with 30 seconds flat. Driving down the backside. On top of the field, Oz Shade with the lead here is now taking pressure on the outside in 2 from Best Cam Dragon. Watching over the dueling leaders from 3rd, that is Say Excuse Me. Second over the outside in 4th, and now swung up 3 wide of the outside. Here comes Smart Sam as they wheel towards 3 quarters on the board in 1:27 flat. They'll pace the final turn and head for home, and Oz Shade under a tippy tap of the whip from David Miller with the lead here by length and a quarter. To the outside, Best Cam Dragon still there, still coming to him and awaiting the passing lane. Say Excuse Me to the top of Power Alley. Less than an eighth of them how to go, and down Down the stretch they come. A shade with the lead here. Coming to the inside. Say Excuse Me is surging into super stretch. And Say Excuse Me gets up to win it. Very close for second there between the 9 Aw Shade, the 2 Instigator, the top of the mile, 155, 3/5. Say Excuse Me. In a new lifetime mark circle, the official winner of the 8th race, the 4, Say Excuse Me, timed at a new lifetime mark, 155 3/5. Out of the Brian Brown stable is a 3-year-old bay colt by Arizona Jack. Out of a Safe Trip mare, she by Tyler B. Owned by Gary Machez at Clarksburg, New Jersey. Nicely handled cheer this evening by Scioto Downs leading driver Brett Miller. And that's 5 wins on this evening's card for driver Brett Miller. New lifetime mark, the 4, Say Excuse Me, 155 3/5. Ladies and gentlemen, the horses are stepping onto the track for this evening's 9th race, the first division of the Jug Preview. A pace of 1 mile, a purse of $75,000, exacta trifecta wagering, a special Jug Preview pick 3, a field of 7, no changes. Kathy Hawk brings them out. The 1, Scooby Can 2, a 3-year-old bay gelding by Matt Can Do, and with the FTF Incorporated at Johnstown, Ohio, trained by Ron Potter, sporting a mark of 153 2/5 here at Scioto Downs, bankrolling over $130,000. The 1, Scooby Can 2, and driver David Miller. Number 2 is Look Both Ways, a 3-year-old bay gelding by Keystone Raider, owned by Albert and Regina Favett of Huron Township, Michigan, trained by Elpidio Bernardi Jr., sporting a mark of 156 2/5 as a 2-year-old with over $50,000. The 2, Look Both Ways, and driver Kyle Ader. Number 3 is Cool Flying Fun, a 3-year-old bay colt by Bonnie and Clyde, owned by Wendy Coates and Guinea Coates of Tappahannock, Virginia, trained by Jam Knopfsfinger. A mark of 154 flat at Colonial Downs as a 2-year-old, over $68,000 in earnings. The 3, Cool Flying Fun, and driver Kane Kaufman. Number 4 is Arts Chip by Josephic Velocity Standard Brands and Josephic, all of Ohio, trained by Mark Evers. Mark of 152 2/5 at Indiana Downs this year. Number 4, Arts Chip, and trainer driver Mark Evers. Number 5 is Make a Success, a 3-year-old bay gelding by Western Hanover, owned by Jacob Ramsberg and Barry Waiter of Maryland and Pennsylvania, trained by Dan Altmeyer, with earnings in excess of $228,000. A mark is a 2-year-old of 152 flat at the Poconos. Number 5, Make a Success, and driver Brett Miller. Next to lead the paddock is number 6, Town Bullet, 3-year-old bay gelding by Big Towner, owned by Redmond of Mount Gilead, Ohio, and Mullenix of Wasion, Ohio, trained by Jim Mullenix, with earnings in excess of $56,000. A mark of 152 flat at the, or a mark of 153 2 here at Scioto Downs. Number 6, Town Bullet, and driver Jim Daly. In the last one to lead the paddock for the first division of the Jug Preview, from the outside, number 7, Brando Blue Chip, 3-year-old bay colt by Sealed and Delivered, owned by the Brando stable at Delray Beach, Florida, trained by Bill Robinson, with earnings in excess of $284,000. A mark of 150 3/5 at Pocono Downs. Number 7, Brando Blue Chip, and driver Dave Hawk in the sulky. That's the field for the 9th race, the first division of the Jug Preview. Exacta trifecta Jug Preview pick 3 wagering here. Purse of $75,000, a field of 7. There are no changes. They'll go to the post at 10:17, less than 4 minutes away. Is in motion, and we're ready for a start. They're all fan pacing and firing away. Middle of the track, there goes the 4 Arch Chip. Driving up from the outside, there is Brando Blue Chip, a gap of 2.5. In third, that is Scooby Can 2. Coming away in fourth, that is Make a Success. Fifth, they're on the inside, Town Bullet. Sixth along the rail, Cool Flying Fun. As they race around the first turn and over to the opening quarter. And seventh and off stride and back down pacing there. Look both ways as they near the opening quarter-mile mark of the race. The opening quarter comes and goes in 26 and 2/5 as they pass in front of the stand for the first time and head on down to the half. Brando Blue Chip with the lead by a length and a quarter. Arch Chip is right there, nose to helmet, racing into, rolling into the wire with 5/8 of a mile remaining. Scooby Can 2 close the gap, racing in third. Fourth, that is Make a Success. Fifth is Town Bullet. Sixth is Cool Flying Fun. And seventh and trailing the field. Look both ways as they step around the clubhouse, turn in front of the paddock and on over to the half. Brando Blue Chip is carving out the fractions here. And he got away with a second quarter breather. They're halfway home, 56 and 2/5. A second panel with 30 seconds flat. Off the turn and setting sail down the backside. On top, Brando Blue Chip. Arch Chip pulled the 2-0 and is right there at the leader in second. Along the inside, Scooby Can 2 is racing in third. Second over the outside in fourth, Town Bullet. Fifth and buried at the rail, that is Make a Success. Sixth there is Cool Flying Fun. And seventh and trailing the field. Look both ways, 3/4 on the board and 1:24 and 3/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. We've got a new leader on the front end. Arch Chip went right on by Brando Blue Chip. Now being swung to the outside, Scooby Can 2. The Ohio boys coming to him. Less than an eighth of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come. Arch Chip with the lead. Scooby Can 2 is closing in with every single stride as they come to the wire. Arch Chip takes the first division of the Jug Preview. Finishing second, the 1 Scooby Can 2. Getting up for third, it looked like the 5 Make a Success. The time of the mile, 1:52 3/5. Arch Chip. Here's the 4 Arch Chip. Timed in 1:52 and 3/5. Taking the first division of the Jug Preview, unofficial. Number 4 Arch Chip, a 3-year-old bay colt by Arts Place out of Athena Blue Chip. She by Goalie Jeff. By Josevic, Velocity Standardbreds and Josevic. They're all of the Buckeye State. Nicely trained and driven by Mark Evers. Number 4, Arch Chip, 1:52 3/5. 4156 official. The 4-1 exacta returns $10.80. 4-1-5 try returns $37.40. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there he is, the winner of the first division of the Jug Preview. Let's give a nice round of applause to number 4, Arch Chip and Mark Evers.
Mile track?
Yes, I did. I wasn't sure if he'd handle these turns. He's clean going, and we train on a half-mile track, but I've never put him at big speed into tight turns like this, but he handled them really well.
Was that part of your rationale for coming here to Scioto Downs, to kind of get him on a smaller track and gear him up for Delaware?
Well, yeah, we have to find out because it won't be long, but we'll probably take him to Delaware and train him prior to the Jug and see how it works out.
Well, he certainly looked impressive. Do you have any concerns after watching him go around the smaller track?
No, I think he's fine.
Well, we wish...
So he showed that. He'll be fine.
Well, we wish you the best of luck in Delaware.
All right, thank you.
Jug Preview. Pace a 1 mile purse of $75,000. Exactas in tries, a field of 7. Drivers change on the 3. First, Foxy Jim Daly. Here are the horses and drivers. The 1 Coast to Coast Yankee. 3-year-old son of Arts Place, owned by Altmeyer, Ramsburg, and Kelson. They're of Pennsylvania, Maryland, and New York. Trained by Dan Altmeyer with earnings in excess of $182,000, a mark of 153 and 3/5 at the Meadows. Number 1, Coast to Coast Yankee, and driver David Miller. Number 2 is Stock Market Whiz, a 3-year-old bay colt by 3 Wizards, by Carl Ungerman and Sampson Street Stables of Ontario and Pennsylvania. Trained by Tom Artandi with earnings in excess of $248,000, a mark of 155 2/5 at Vernon Downs. Number 2, Stock Market Whiz and driver Dallas Miller. Number 3 is First Foxy. 3-year-old bay gelding by Noble and Sam of the White Creek Stable Incorporated at Dublin, Ohio, trained by Ray Paver. Earnings in excess of $140,000. A mark at Indianapolis of 151 flat. Number 3, First Foxy, and driver Jim Daly. Number 4 is Pre-Slash. 3-year-old Rowan colt by Mr. Preston, by Pius Sonlin of Canton, Ohio, and David Sonlin of Navarre, Ohio, trained by Pius Sonlin. Earnings in excess of $133,000, a mark of 152 3/5 at the Big M, the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Number 4, Pre-Slash, and driver George Schoenlin. Number 5, Dr. Drew. 3-year-old bay colt by Jenna's Beach Boy, by L&L DeVisser. Jones Machila of Holland, Michigan, trained by Joe Seekman, with earnings in excess of $312,000. A mark at the Red Mile of 149 4/5. Number 5, Dr. Drew, and driver Brett Miller. Number 6, Escape the Tie. 3-year-old brown colt by Art Escape, owned by our Crystal of Manhasset, New York, and Ann Zabar of New York, New York, trained by Nat Vardy, with earnings in excess of $38,000, a mark of 151 4/5 at Woodbine. Number 6, Escape the Tie, and driver Dave Hawk. And for the outside, number 7, Room and Board. 3-year-old brown colt by Noble and Sam, by Sheehan, Darby's Edge Stable, and Joe Descala Jr. of Pennsylvania, Ohio, and New York, trained by Ohio's leading trainer, Virgil Morgan Jr. Earnings in excess of $158,000, a mark here at Saturday Downs of 151 3/5. Number 7, Room and Board, and Bob Harper in the sulky. That's the field for the 10th race, the second division of the Jug Preview, exactas and tries. A field of 7 drivers change on the 3. First Foxy, the driver is Jim Daly. They'll go to the post at 10:41, 4 minutes away. And of the Jug Preview, field in motion. Break the one, coast to coast Yankee before the start. They're all fan pacing and firing away from the outside. Escape the Tie crosses right on over to take the lead here from the inside. Stock Market Whiz up on the outside there. That is Pre-Slash. Coming away, racing in 4. That is First Foxy. Angled in 5. That is Dr. Drew. 6. That is Room and Board. And 7th and trailing the field. Back down pacing. That is coast to coast Yankee as they race around the first turn and over to the opening quarter and Escape the Tie out of the Nat Vardy stable for driver Dave Hawk. Takes them to the opening quarter in 27 1/5 as they pass by the stand for the first time and head on down to the half and Escape the Tie with the lead. Pre-Slash, and now rushing up on the outside. Here comes Dr. Drew, and Dr. Drew overpowers to the front end here as they step around the clubhouse, turning on over to the half. Dr. Drew powers his way to the front end. On the inside, Escape the Tie yielded for a garden spot in 2. Pre-Slash is racing in 3rd. Stock Market Whiz stays in from 4th. They're halfway home, 56 1/5. Off the turn and setting sail down the backside. Heads are pointed towards 3/4 in the second division of the Jug Preview. On top of the field, Dr. Drew with the lead. To the inside, Escape the Tie is racing in 2nd. Pre-Slash stays in from 3rd. First over the rim, racing in 4th. That is First Foxy. On the inside in 5, Stock Market Whiz. Up on the outside in 6, that is Coast to Coast Yankee, and he's back into play. And 7th and trailing the field, Room and Board. 3/4 was passed in 124 flat. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. On top, Dr. Drew, your 2 to 5 punter's choice with the lead here. Escape the Tie is going to be coming to him and coming on. Off the turn in less than 1/8 of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come, and Dr. Drew sprints away from the field and opens up with every single stride as they come to the wire. Dr. Drew takes the second division of the Jug Preview. Finishing second was the 3, First Foxy. Third was the 6, Escape the Tie. The time of the mile, 151 3/5. Dr. Drew, and driver Brett Miller gets his 6th winning drive of the night. 5:51 3/5. The 5, Dr. Drew, is a 3-year-old bay colt by Jenna's Beach Boy out of a Freedom Aloft mare. She by Annihilator. By L&L DeVisser Limited Liability Corporation. Jones Maricelli of Holland, Michigan. Trained by Joseph Seekman. Nicely handled cheer this evening by winning driver Brett Miller. Also in the winner's circle to make the trophy presentation, the director of racing of Saturday Downs, Stacy Christie. For driver Brett Miller, that's 6 wins on this evening's program. 6 out of 10 races for driver Brett Miller as he guides the 5, Dr. Drew, home to victory in 1:51 3/5. So official 5-3 exacta 1880 536 try 130.20. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give number 5, Dr. Drew and Brett Miller, a nice round of applause. The second division of the Jug Preview.
Well, Joe, you certainly made this trip to Scioto Downs a worthwhile one. Better certainly felt this horse was the best, and clearly Brett did too when he sent him like he did down the front stretch here. What did you think when he made that move?
The horse is sharp right now, you know, and as a favorite, he better get to moving him, you know, or the public's going to be booing. So he felt confident. You know, the horse is sharp right now.
Did you have any concerns about Coast to Coast Yankee before he did make that break at the start?
No, you know, hey, you've got to be concerned about all of them, but they're all in the race. And like I say, he's sharp right now, and good trip for him, and worked out good.
And the owner of this horse, Lee DeVisser, owned the great Jenna's Beach Boy, who of course was not eligible to the Little Brown Jug. What do you think it would mean to him to win this race?
Oh, I'm sure he would like to, you know. But it's going to be a tough-fought battle. There's lots of others thinking the same way. But I'm sure he would appreciate it along with the other couple owners.
Wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. Here's the rundown. Eligible. Number 6, Escape the Tide. 3 in the 7, Room and Board. 7. Rechecking 652. Ladies and gentlemen, the horses are stepping onto the track for this evening's 11th race. The third division of the Jug Preview. A pace of 1 mile, a purse of $75,000. Exacta trifecta late pick 3 wagering begins here. A field of 7. No changes. Here's the field. The 1 Execujet, 3-year-old bay colt by Presidential Ball by Locke, Gillock, and scattered area of Ontario and Pennsylvania, trained by Richard Gillock with earnings in excess of $98,000, a mark of 152 4/5. Trained by Richard Gillock, the driver Dave Hawk. Number 2 is All-American Captor, 3-year-old bay colt by Jate LaBelle, by Ray Hall of Saddle River, New Jersey, and Jacobson of Crompound, New York, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr. with earnings in excess of $349,000, a mark of 150 2/5 at Northfield Park. Number 2, All-American Captor, and driver Brett Miller. Number 3, Canyon Wind, a 3-year-old bay colt by Cam Best, and with a Score Racing Stable Limited Liability Corporation of Colts Neck, New Jersey, the Valdior Farms, trained by Steve Elliott to mark a 152 2/5 at the Big M at the Meadowlands. Number 3, Canyon Wind, and driver Dennis Miller. Number 4 is Real Liar, 3-year-old bay colt by Real Artist, owned by NZ Racing Stable Incorporated at Allentown, New Jersey, trained by Brett Pelling, with earnings in excess of $28,000, a market freehold of 157 1/5. Number 4, Real Liar, and driver Kyle Ader. Number 5 is What an Artist, 3-year-old brown colt by Real Artist, owned by Arlene and Jules Siegel in New Hope, Pennsylvania, trained by Jim Campbell, with earnings in excess of $449,000, sporting a mark of 149 flat at the Meadowlands. Number 5, What an Artist, and driver David Miller. Number 6, Call Me Jate, with a 3-year-old brown gelding by Jate LaBelle with the Oldfield Farm Incorporated, Sand Creek, Michigan, trained by Richard Oldfield, and earnings of over $40,000. A mark here at Saturday Downs of 153 3. The 6, Call Me Jate, and driver Bob Harper. And for the outside, the number 7 is Corey's on Crombie, 3-year-old bay colt by Abercrombie, by Ken Sommer of Sheffield, Ohio, trained by Bill Robinson, earnings in excess of $44,000. A mark at Woodbine of 152 flat. Number 7, Corey's on Crombie, and driver Danny Noble. in the sulky. That's the field for the 11th race, the 3rd division of the Jug Preview. Field of 7, no changes, exacta trifecta. Late pick 3 wagering begins here. Post time. In motion. They're all fan pacing and firing away for the lead from the outside. Call Me Jate. Along the inside there, that is ExecuJet. Up on the outside, 3 wide, that is Corazon Crombie. Coming away in 4, that is All-American Captor. Gap at 2 there, racing in 5th, that is Canyon Win. 6th is Real Hire, and 7th and trailing the field. What an Artist, and he'll try it from the back of the pack as a Royal Scramble for command here as they race around the first turn and over to the opening quarter. And ExecuJet reports to the opening quarter in 26 and 2/5 as they pass in front of the stand for the first time and head on down to the half. On top, that's ExecuJet, and now rushing over the outside. Here is All-American Captor, and What an Artist is following that move as they roll under the wire with 5/8 of a mile remaining. Stepping around the clubhouse, turning on over to the half. All-American Captor from the inside. Up on the outside here, What an Artist is looking to clear as they race towards the halfway mile mark of the race, and What an Artist clear to the front end here through a half and 55 and 1/5 off the turn and driving down the backside, setting sail towards 3/4, and What an Artist on the front end here, leading it by a length and a half to the inside. All-American Captor is racing in 2nd, staying in from 3rd, that is ExecuJet. First over the outside in 4th, that is Corazon Crombie. 5th and buried at the rail is Call Me Jate. Up on the outside in 6th, that is Real Hire, and 7th and trailing the field, Canyon Win, as they report to 3/4 and 123 and 3/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. And What an Artist under a tippy tap of the whip from David Miller with the lead here by a length and a quarter. And All-American Captor is breathing down his neck off the turn in less than an 1/8 of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come. What an Artist is being set down with a stretch drive. All-American Captor is trying to come to him. What an Artist. All-American Captor with one final surge. What an Artist hangs on to win it. All-American Captor to go 2nd. ExecuJet was 3rd to the top of the mile. 151 flat. What an Artist takes the 3rd division of the Jug Preview. The 11th race, 3rd division of the Jug Preview in the winner's circle to make the trophy presentation. The president and general manager of Scioto Downs, Mr. Edward T. Ryan, alongside the director of racing, Stacy Christie. Along with our dignitaries from Delaware, Ohio, once again, the home of the Little Brown Jug. Here's the 5, What an Artist. Pacing home in 151 flat, a 3-year-old brown colt by Rio Artist out of an 01 a show mare. She by Incredible Finale. Owned by Arlene and Jules Siegel, New Hope, Pennsylvania. Trained by Jim Campbell. Nicely handled here this evening by winning driver David Miller. 151 flat. What an Artist and driver David Miller. I guess you could bill this as a Miller night out of the first 11 races this evening. Drivers Brett Miller and David Miller combining for 9 wins on this evening's program. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a nice round of applause to number 5, What an Artist, and driver David Miller, the 3rd division of the Jug Preview, 151 flat. Here's the prices for the 11th race. The 5-2 exacta, $9 even. 5-2-1 try returns $22.20. The pick 3, the special pick 3 for the Jug Preview, 4-5-5, 3 of 3, $16.80.
The Meadowlands pace eliminations looked absolutely unbeatable, but he seemed to have hit some rough spots. Do you think he's back on track with this mile?
Well, tonight he's definitely a lot better than he's been his last few races. David did a great job with him. Just took him off the gate. That's kind of what the horse needed tonight, and he needed a chance to get himself back up in the bit. And Dave drove him perfectly tonight. I hope he's on his game here in about a week and a half.
Now, Brian Sears has been driving this horse. Do you have any thoughts about who's going to drive him in the Jug?
Well, that's something I'll have to talk to Mr. Siegel and see which way he's going to go. Tonight Brian was racing in Pocono for us tonight, so it was no fault of Brian's for not being here. We were fortunate enough that Dave was available, and Dave did a great job for us.
How many horses, you consistently have brought several horses to the Jug in recent years. How many horses do you plan on bringing, and who's your best hope at this point?
Well, that's another thing I have to talk to Mr. Siegel about, being he's the one who has to pay the starting fee. we got 4 that could go. I want to bring all 4, but you know, we got to weigh it out and see which ones have the best shot.
Well, congratulations, and we wish you luck.
Thanks, Nicole.
'34th annual Jug Preview, a smack. The one Mighty Sam, owned by Catherine Hawk of Orient, Ohio, trained by Lloyd Hawk. Dave Hawk drives. Team Hawk. Number 2, Big Pan on Campus, owned by Scott Tyler George of Sunbury, Ohio, trained by John Schultz with Kyle Wader. Number 3 is Reasonable Doubt, owned by Joseph Descala Jr. of Chippewa, New York, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr. with driver Brett Miller. Number 4 is Glenview Frets, owned by Eddie Pulling and Daniel Stone of Lebanon, Ohio, trained by Eddie Pulling with Rob Cook. Number 5, Tricks of the Trade, owned by Heath and Craig Parker of Canal, Winchester, Ohio, trained by Craig Parker, the K-Man, Kane Kaufman. Number 6, Windbreaker, owned by Clarence You Can Call Me Sonny DeLong of Orient, Ohio, trained and driven by Bob Harper. Number 7, Jock Osborne, owned and trained by Gary Masajewski of Lebanon, Ohio, with Dan Noble. Number 8, Mac Perfect, owned by Ida Hardman of Delaware, Ohio, trained by Frenchie Fuller with Jeff Ace Nysonger. And for the outside of the 9, Bearcat Hanover by Reed Racing of Newark, Ohio, trained by Dean Collins, David Miller, Ian the Sulky. They're all fan pacing and stepping out of there for the lead. There goes Glenview Fritz. First call there from the inside. Mighty Sam comes away in second. Driving up on the outside, that is Mac Perfect. Coming away, racing in fourth, that is Big Pan on Campus. Away in 5, that is Reasonable Doubt. 6 there along the inside, Bearcat Hanover. 7th is Tricks of the Trade. The true trailers here are Windbreaker and Jock Osborne. Can see them all as they wheel around the first turn and over to the opening quarter. On top of the field, Mac Perfect clears to the front through an initial quarter of 27 2/5. On by the stand for the first time and heading on down to the half, and Mac Perfect with the lead by a length and a half. To the inside, Glenview Fritz is going along in second. Mighty Sam is racing in third. 4th there along the inside, Big Pan on Campus. First to flush on the outside. Here comes the 3, Reasonable Doubt. First over the outside in 5. Towing along up on the outside, second over in 6. That is Bearcat Hanover as they wheel around the clubhouse, turning on over to the half. On top, Mac Perfect and Ace Nysonger with the lead by a length and a half. They're at the half in 57 4/5. Off the turn and driving down the backside. Heads are pointed towards 3/4 and Mac Perfect with the lead here. Into the inside, racing in second, that is Glenview Fritz. First over the outside, racing in third, that is Mighty Sam. Buried to the rail, racing in fourth as they track towards the 3/4 mile mark of the race. That is Big Pan on Campus. Sent up 3 wide to the outside. Here comes Reasonable Doubt, and following that cover on the outside, Tricks of the Trade as they race towards 3/4 on the board in 1:26 4/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. Mac Perfect under a tippy towel of the whip with the lead by a length. Up on the outside, racing into now, that is Reasonable Doubt as they turn to the top of Heartbreak Lane. Less than an eighth of a mile to go, and down the stretch they come. Mac Perfect with the lead here. To the outside, Reasonable Doubt is coming to him and coming on as they come to the rear and surging in the super stretch. Here is Windbreaker, and Windbreaker gets up to win it all. Finishing second was the 2, Big Pan on Campus. It was close for third. The time of the mile was 1:56 flat. Windbreaker. Here's the 6, Windbreaker, surging in the super stretch. A 5-year-old brown gelding by Tanner's Big Guide of a Silver Dollar Gunny Mare. She by Ombro Cadet, owned by Clarence You Can Call Me Sonny DeLong of Orient, Ohio. Nicely trained and driven by Bob Harper. The 6, Windbreaker, Scott Piney's Bud Light Long Shot of the Night, reports home a winner in 1:56 flat. Now your official winner. 6-2-9-4 is now official. 6-2 exacta, 377.60, 629 try, $7,845.40. And behind the gate, down to a field of 9 with a scratch of the 10, Jate Star Sick. The gate swings into the back stretch, getting set for a start. Field in motion. They're all fan pacing and stepping out of there from the inside. There goes Sam's Megabucks, who's on the go, driving up in between horses. GP's El Cid. Up on the outside, Rain Man is 3 deep into the first turn. Coming away, racing in 4, that is Dockside. Along the inside in 5, that is Breezy No Blue. 6 there, that is Helsa Sam. 7th along the rail, that is Calicac Bluegrass. In the 2 trailers here are Humor Borg. And 9th and trailing the field as they race by the opening quarter, SF Patriot. By the opening quarter to moderate, 28 and 1/5, and on top of the field with the lead here, that's Rain Man. Along the outside now, racing in second, Sam's Mega Bucks is looking to retake the lead here as they cross under the wire with 5/8 of a mile remaining. Along the inside, GP's El Cid is watching over these dueling leaders. Away in 4th, that is Dockside. 5 is Breezy No Blue. To the outer flow, racing in 6th, there is Humor Borg. Inside, racing in 7th is Helsa Sam. Outside in 8th, that is SF Patriot. In 9th and trailing the field there, that is Calicac Bluegrass as they step around the clubhouse, turning over to the half in 58 seconds flat. A second panel at 29 and 4. Off the turn and driving down the backside of the finale on Jug Preview Night, and on top of the field, Sam's Mega Bucks with the lead here as they set sail. On top, leading it by a neck. To the outside in 2 is GP's El Cid. On the inside, Rain Man is trying to go with him in 3rd. On the inside, looking for racing room in 4th, that is Dockside. Stone to the outside in 5, that is Breezy No Blue. 6th and buried there, Helsa Sam, reaching 3/4 in 1:27 and 1/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home, and Sam's Megabucks with the lead here to the inside, and now being angled to the outside, GP's El Cid, and flying on the outside, here comes Humor Borg off the turn in less than an 1/8 of a mile to go, and down the stretch they come. Sam's Megabucks gave way to GP's El Cid, and on the outside, Humor Borg is charging hard, and Humor Borg is going to get up to win the nightcap, giving Brett Miller his 7th winning drive of the night. Finishing second was the 5 Helsa Sam. Third was the 2 GP's El Cid. Fourth, and to round out the super, the 9 Dockside. Down the mile, 1:56. 3/5 Humor Borg. Timed at 1:56 and 3. Now your official winner. The 7 Humor Borg is an 8-year-old bay horse by Franz Hanover out of a Chelma Angus mare. She by Bye Bye Pat, owned by Craig Colston of Springboro, Ohio, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr. Nicely handled here this evening by winning driver Brett Miller. For trainer Virgil Morgan Jr., has 5 wins on this evening's program. And for driver Brett Miller, that's 7 wins on this evening's program. A huge night for Virgil Morgan Jr. and Brett Miller. It's been a Miller night at Scioto Downs. The 13th race is up and official. The pick 3, 3 of 3, 506.40, 7.5 exacta, 69.40, 7.52 try, 279.80, 7.529 super, $5,026 even.